Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Eve and this is Everyday Artist, and welcome. This is a Flosstube where I talk mostly about cross stitch. This is Rogue. My sister's in the other room and she's wanting to make sure that she's not about to throw something on the floor that she can eat. Anyway, I do have a tiny bit of quilting and a sad story about my knitting. But I think I'll do those two things first and then just talk about cross stitch. Hold on, the dog's, I don't want her to knock down the camera. Just a sec. So, I guess I'll talk about the knitting first. Well, yeah, there's nothing much been going on around here. Just a lot of the same old, although I did get back the papers on the probate, and I still have, to contact the HOA and all those things that I've been waiting for, but and the mortgage company, and you know what, this paperwork never ends. But it's a bright sunny day. It's actually supposed to be a really nice temperature today. Not hot, not cold. This is typical March Phoenix weather. It's beautiful outside. I wish I enjoyed being outside because it looks really nice. I don't hike. I don't, all the things that are really popular here in Phoenix. I don't do any kind of sport really. I like being in the swimming pool, but it's still too cold to swim. I know a lot of people think 70 is fine for swimming, but to me it's got to be, like 100 degrees. When I first moved here, I thought my sister was nuts because she thought it was too cold to go swimming when it was in the low 80s. I used to go swimming in that temperature all the time in Albuquerque. Yeah. Once you get used to how about the temperatures here, you're like, no, it's too cold. Although there is a heated pool I could go to, so maybe I could do that and enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having, I think, for at least a week. No dust storms, no rainstorms. So, yeah. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about this sad, sad tale. Now, I'm going to try to get a picture of what this knitting looked like when I showed it to you last week. And then I had finished up the second section. When I showed it to you, all I had left to do on that was a purl row, and then I had to start the third one, I think the final of the same repeating lace pattern. So when I started that purl row, I dropped some stitches. Now I knew something was wrong and I looked for it and I couldn't find it. And I said, well, maybe it's my mistake. Maybe I didn't do anything wrong. And I started the lace pattern again, and then realized that there were stitches that had gone down too far to, so I just pinned it in place and talked to my sister. And I'm like, please see if you can rectify this, because I tried and I just was like, I don't know, I can't see a whole row going across. I don't want to mess it up any further, and she knits a lot more than I do now. Isn't that strange? I taught her how to knit and she knits better than I do. I taught her how to sew. She sews better than I do. Well, sometimes. But, So it had laddered down. And my sister saved it for me. And now it is right here. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the top of the first lace area. I'll count the rows. There might have to be one more row of lace. And I know this lacing isn't perfect, and I don't care. It's just not big old long, drop stitches. So I have to start all of that again, and I am happy because I told her, I said, if you have to pull it all out below that, that's fine, as long as we can fix it and I don't have to go back down to here, which I could have definitely seen the row to put the lifeline in. But she fixed it for me, and there's some photos of it kind of where I can show you kind of what she did. But she fixed it for me, and so I'm happy. I am, but I didn't have I'm also sad, all that work. And it looked, to me, it looked great last week, right? And, but I'm not going to put it down. I'm going to try to every week do at least 2 rows, there and back again kind of thing. And hopefully it'll just, by plugging away at it. But I have to be really careful not to drop stitches, right? That was horrible. It was very sad. Because when I saw it, there was like this big hole because the drop stitch was right over some of the lacing area, so it made the hole in the lacing bigger, which is why it couldn't be just pulled back up. You couldn't figure out how that was supposed to go. And then I showed you my Itty Bitty Kitty Committee quilt. I have all the rows sewn together, all the sashing sewn together, and I just need to put it together, right? Well, this is the very bottom row and the next row up, and I just got involved in so many things. I just was like, I don't want to start working on that again right now. I want to sit and do it when I have time. And this blue was a charm pack with all these different, I don't know where all these threads and stuff came from. Well, I guess I need to cut that one off. And so the blues get lighter and lighter as it goes up. And then the batiks also get darker. This is the lighter batik colors. So hopefully it'll look nice when it's all done, said and done. Hopefully. But, I need to sit and actually take time to do it. It's just, I had to go through and pin everything because I wanted to make sure that those cornerstones were in the right spot. I didn't want any of the, they're not perfect, but I didn't want them way off. So I wanted to make sure and pin everything. Okay. Next is the winter berries. Now the sow, it's pretty much over. But I'm still working on this one, and I have this one left. So the only thing I have left on this one is the snowflakes. And I'm doing the snowflakes with a 12. And so when you make a mistake and try to pull it out, it is very unforgiving because it's a very loose thing. So you might, when you're picking it out, get one strand of it and not the other. And I don't mean like 2 regular strands. I mean each, if you've never worked with a 12, each strand has several strands in it. The one is the shiny strand, and one is the regular white strand, and so yeah. So I showed this last week, and I had this done or mostly done. And if I can find a picture of it wrong, I will. But you see this, how it kind of radiates around the middle? When I finished with it, I realized that these didn't line up. They were way off, kind of like when you do a border and you come up and borders here and here, you know. And so I took it out. And then when I got to here, I realized something else was wrong, so I had to take part of it out again. And of course I had to throw those threads away because they disintegrated. And so this took me most of the week to get where I found it acceptable. There's still some stuff going on, like it's half a stitch different from the words. I'm not going to worry about that because they're not touching. And then I did this one, and I started on this over here, and then I got tired of working with a toile. I think I did this last week, right? So these I had before. I just worked the little snowflake there, and then this is a little curly Q. So now I'm going over this way, and there's another snowflake just like this over here. That one was so challenging. Maybe I've learned how to do it. I don't know. And it's just the counting of it, you know. Snowflakes are like that because, you know, you do a little bit and then you count, and you do a little bit and you count and you do a little bit, and you can't really have the bad memory that I do. If I'm having to count any kind of distance, you know, I'll count it and then go, where was I? So I have to start again. Wait a minute. What number am I? Where am I? And so counting over to it, to me, it's got to be a little number to count. Because if I have to count like 10 or something like that, it becomes very, very hard for me to do. But I am honing in on the finish on this. If I had persevered with that étoile, stop. If I had persevered with that étoile, it would be done. And if I had done it in something other than étoile, like the booties, it probably would be done. Because part of the thing is when you're taking out the étoile, it gets all knotted and splitting and making a mess. So, but I think the sparkly is worth it. I don't know if you can see the sparkly. Let me see. Yeah, it's very subtle sparkly, and I think that it's gonna make a difference. I'm glad I used étoile in that respect, but it's taking its toll on me in time. And then my next mess was the end of last month's Whip Go. The challenge was to finish this berry. And I don't remember where I was on this last week, but I realized after I finished putting in all these letters that I put them in the wrong color. And this color is supposed to be a big flower over here, similar to this big flower. And it was supposed to be made with this browner color, and I made it with this color. And so I thought, well, maybe, because I didn't want to do this and this flower in the same color, so I thought, well, maybe I could just do half stitches over it and then use it for this. Use this color for the flower like it's supposed to be. It looked terrible. I lived with it for a few days and then just took it out. So I've decided that I'm going to make that other flower this color. Because it's got a little flower going this way, but it's using this color on the flower part. And hi, baby, just a minute. On this one, the flower that's over here is like this. So I figure if I make a big red flower, because this one's also blue, it'll be all right, and it'll still look like this one. So, but this sewing bee, see how much darker it is? Oops. No, I had it right the first time. Can you tell? Oh, the light is weird. I had to close the blind because of the time of day it is, and the sun was shining right in my eyes. Let's see. Can you see the different color? Yeah, well, that's all right. It'll be fine. So I missed my Whip Go challenge on that one, but I have the whole rest of the year to finish it, to complete the challenge. I didn't do it in February, but it'll be all right. So I almost have one half done, and then I have to just do this other half and it'll be done. And I'm leaving off the LS. I don't know what those are. I have no idea what it's for. And so I'm leaving it off. And as I mentioned last week, my Whip Go call, one of my Whip Go calls for this month is what I call Art Deco Cat. Technically the file is Black Cat, the name of this. And I had finished the one that was the direction of, I didn't use black, the direction of the original pattern. But I wanted to do two opposite. My sister has two orange tabbies. And so this is the beginning of that other one. And I would have been a lot further along, except I had made some subtle mistakes in this. So while I'm doing it, I'm having to compare to make sure that it's the same so that they end up being the same height. And I started curving it the wrong way. Because I was copying this instead of copying the pattern. She very graciously flipped the pattern for me, and I'm so appreciative of her for doing that, because it meant I didn't have to, and that I could do my vision of having them back to back instead of two the same. Now, this thread is a lot darker than what I was thinking it was going to be. One of her cats is slightly darker than the other, but that was the closest to the original one that I had chosen. And the last thing I have I have a little haul, tiny little bit of haul. But the last thing I have in cross stitch is my temperature cell. Sapphire Mountain 2023 temperature cell. And as we know, we finished February and started in on March. And anybody who is living with the crazy weather that's been going on or has seen it on TV, I mean, the kind of snow that California was getting in places where it doesn't really normally snow, And here in Phoenix, it snowed in Scottsdale and in Gilbert. We don't get snow here. They get snow in Tucson because that's the tail end of the Rocky Mountains. Real mountains, big mountains. But here, the mountains close to us are very, it's like foothills. As a matter of fact, where I live is in the foothills of one of the mountains. And Scottsdale, most of Phoenix is down, it's not a valley, but it's a plain. And the northern part of Phoenix, including Scottsdale and anything that's on the north like that, kind of start going up into the beginnings of a mountain. Here near where I live, that's called South Mountain, and it's a very short mountain. My sister calls them dirt clod mountains because, you know, to me, when I think of mountains, they're you know, pine trees and stuff like that. And here, a lot of the mountain, as you start going up in elevation, you'll see things like saguaro cactus forests, not pine tree forests. And as a matter of fact, when I was driving Uber, there were some people here from Korea, and they said, "Why are your mountains so brown?" I'm like, they're not really brown. If you go up into the mountain, you can see that there's green vegetation, but it's just different. But as Scottsdale, a lot of parts of Scottsdale and some of Gilbert are higher up in elevation, so those are the parts that got some snow. But here, where I live, we got unbelievably windy and cold and rain, lots and lots of rain. But the wind was very, very bad. So when I was doing the temperatures, and here's this so far. This is the coldest day of the year so far. I mean, there might be colder days down when we're in November and December. I don't think so, but maybe. But it was 55 that day. And it's been above that. All these other blues are slightly different blue. But it was 55. The others had been slightly above that. 57, you know, that kind of thing. But it's kind of interesting how when you're doing a temperature chart, and I think that's what I liked about watching all the others with the temperature charts that they've been doing, is that you can look back on that and say, that was a really wild year, you know, for temperatures. Like I saw Stitching Land Good Enough, her temperature chart, and she does one every year. The one she's doing this year, they look like little calendars. And she's in New England somewhere. Her store is called something New England. It's been, I woke up with a headache and I don't feel much better now after, you know, Tylenol and other things. But Stitch New England, that's the name of her shop. Pam with in Stitching Atlanta Good Enough. Her temperature thing, they're all blues and stuff. It's New England, right? She had one yellow day. And so when you look back on those things, you're like, well, look at that. That was a strange year. And because she has more than one year, sorry, you look at yourself camera, you see stuff that bothers you. Because she has more than 1 year that she can look at, she can see the differences in the temperature every year, and I think that's pretty cool. I don't think that I'm going to be doing another temperature chart, but never say never, right? Okay. So, lastly, my tiny bit of haul. Easter book, Twin Peak Primitives. This was the pattern of the week on Just Keep Stitching, so it was marked down. And in the winter, they had a similar one, and it had little bells. And I've seen it at the attic, but of course, it's full price. And when I saw it at a discount, I said, oh, I don't want to spend that money. You know, it's close to Christmas. And then I was really sad I didn't have it. And so when I go and I see it, I'm like, I want that chart. So I went ahead. I didn't the first week. It was for 2 weeks because of the Nashville needlework market. So I went ahead and got it the second week because I just decided I really, really wanted it. So these are the patterns. Please excuse my dog. I don't know what her problem is. So I was thinking I wanted to do this one. You need to stop now. Stop. And the samples are stitched on 16 count Swagart in ice blue. Well, I don't have 16 count Swagart in ice blue. And I know that the whites of the bunnies and stuff in here are not popping out. They do show up. So I was trying to decide what fabric to do. And I thought maybe I would use this. This is that Malachite Ada, my GMC printed Ada. I bought it some time ago. And the coloring to me looks a lot like that coloring. Now it's bigger, you know, because this is 14 count and they use 16 count. But this fabric that I used, I haven't worked on my snowman. I didn't get him done in February, and I said I'm just going to put a hold on him until I have my other berries done. I'm not going to start any other berries until I finish this dude. So, well, I am. I'm going to start the other winter berry, but then this. But this is ice blue. It's 32 count, which would be the same as 16 count. And it is ice blue. So I think this is linen, but I was trying to think what kind of linen. It said Belfast linen. So I think I could use it for these, but I might enjoy using the Ada more. So I'm trying to decide. And I was thinking about doing this one first. I really like this one. I don't know. And I have an Easter thing in progress, and I haven't finished it. What am I doing starting another one? But, you know, that's the way we are, right? Anyway, I think that's everything. I really want to start those bunnies. But I don't know about the threads. I have almost all of them, and each one uses slightly different, you know, basically the same colors, but there's, you know, little subtle differences here and there. But I'm not a fast stitcher, not anymore. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's all, and I will see you next week, and hopefully I will actually have some progress done on my projects, and thanks for listening. Bye.